let's learn about roofs. Thankfully I've already got a fair few roofs in my city that I can show you. First up is the gable roof. A gable roof is a roof which has only two planes or faces to the roof, so you've got one on one side and one on the other side, and then you've got vertical wall surface filling in the front and the back ends. That's called a gable roof. It's quite common. I actually prefer this type to any other kind, just because it feels like you've got, well, I guess you literally do have more space inside, because instead of having the roof sort of curve into that space, you've got vertical space inside. The next most common kind is called the hip roof. This is a hip joint roof where you've got instead of a instead of having a gable that's actually inverted hip, it'll be easier to find one that's going the other way if I have one. Maybe I don't. That's how much I like hipped roofs. No, I've got one over here. Right, this is a hip roof. See, you've got no vertical wall. It just wraps around. It wraps around everything. So this is all hipped, all this walkway covering, and then you can see, oh, I think I've got, okay, it does some weird funky merge, and then you've got a little gable end here. So this is hipped. Most roofs, generally speaking, are either gabled or hipped. I tend to use a combination, but I mostly use gabled roof. I just like the look of it more. The next other roof features you can do, this little guy here is called a dormer. It can be used to sort of break up the monotony of a roof. A roof can look really monotonous, especially I'm just using single blocks here. I'm not using stair blocks because I don't think it's worth having the extra smoothness look, because honestly people don't tend to look at the roofs that much, and when they do, they look at them from down here, and you can't see the angles. So this guy here is called a dormer. Excuse me. It can make it especially interesting from the inside if you were to put windows on it. It sort of lets a bit of light into the roof. You could even have a little balcony there if you want, but that's not related to roofs. Then you've got what's called a cat slide roof. I'm not sure if I have one, so I might have to make one. No, here's one here. Okay, so you've got a few features here. You've got here, this corner here, this isn't quite a gabled roof because it continues down into more roof. So this is called a gablet, as in a baby gable. So this is a gablet. You've got a hip joint, and the hip continues down into a cat slide, but it doesn't continue down all the way, it only covers this little walkway. So this little covering piece is called a cat slide because it's a small section of roof that continues down to cover up a smaller area. So you've got a gablet up here and a cat slide down the bottom. You've actually got a few kinds of gables to choose from. I mean, not in my city. If I were to say, instead of having the gable protrude, see how this sort of sticks over the edge of the wall, if this instead was to come up and block the wall like that, hang on, I just remembered where I have this. I don't have to build it because it already exists over here. Just excuse me while I teleport there. Try to. It's over there somewhere. Come on. Okay, so up here you can see this is a gable because you have 1, 2 angles of roof, but this isn't like the other gables because instead of the roof panels overlapping across the wall, you've got the wall overlapping up past the roof panels. And this is a different kind of gable because of the steps that have been put on here. It's called a crow step gable, as in steps that crows sit on. I actually don't know why it's called that, I just made that up. But this is a different option, and it gives a pretty different feel to it. So it sort of has this stronger, more stony look from the end, and the roof is more snugly held in the stonework or woodwork or whatever your building is made out of. A few other terms I could pass on if I could find some examples. Maybe not. Alright. If I was to do this along the top, whoops, do it properly. This is just an example. That kind of pattern along the top, it's called a crest. Probably an obvious term. I believe that is the right term for it. That's the crest of the roof. That's something you can do. It tends to give buildings a slightly Asian Oriental feel. Not always, but in my experience, when you add something along the top, it changes the curvature of the roof from something so straight, and that tends to make something look a little bit more Oriental, a little bit more Eastern. What else can I explain to you? You've probably already heard of this one before. When you have a roof that protrudes, here's an example, from the building, the protrusion is called the eaves of the building, which probably has something to do with the term eavesdropping, because when you drop down from the eaves you can hear what people inside are saying. Again, I just made that up, I don't know if it's true, but these are called eaves. These side, whatever protrudes from the building, which is part of the roof. And that's about all the roof features I'm going to explain in this video.